Hello again, watch friends. Welcome back. One of the more enjoyable aspects of watch collecting, at least to me, is learning about the brands, the technology, and the history associated with clocks and watches for the past couple hundred years. The history of horology and the history of civilization are intertwined, and many milestones in watchmaking history are the result of, or coincided with, world events. Here are a couple books that you may find interesting. They're either for the dedicated watch collector or just someone interested in watches and clocks. The first book is Longitude. This is a timepiece-related book with a broad appeal by David Sobe. It's the story of how John Harrison, over a period of his lifetime, invented a reliable clock that could be used aboard ships for navigation. He was the first to invent a marine chronometer that was precise and accurate enough to be used to determine longitude by means of celestial navigation. This was a major technological achievement in the 18th century. The purpose of a chronometer used for navigation is to measure accurately the time of a known fixed location. For example, Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. GMT was established as the reference point for the prime meridian because, among other reasons, that it was in England, and that's where the scientists and astronomers lived when setting the standard. Many other nations, such as France, have proposed their own reference longitude as a standard starting point for all longitude measurements, but it's long been accepted that the prime meridian of 0 degrees longitude runs along the meridian passing through the Royal Observatory at Greenwich, England. Longitude is measured east and west from the prime meridian, which is really an arbitrary and imaginary north-south line. It's an angular measurement that ranges from 0 at the prime meridian to plus 180 degrees eastward and minus 180 degrees westward from GMT. Greenwich Mean Time has been renamed as Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC. Both UTC and GMT are often used interchangeably, and I'm sure you've seen both in various contexts. Latitude is measured north and south from the equator and has always been easier to determine via celestial navigation. Back to Longitude, the book. If at your local noon hour you also knew GMT, you could use the time difference between the ship's position and the Greenwich meridian to determine the ship's longitude. And that's exactly what the ship's navigators wanted to do in the 1700s. Many ship catastrophes were caused by not knowing exactly where the ship was. Being off by hundreds, dozens, or even a few miles could cause a shipwreck. As the Earth rotates at a regular rate, the time difference between the chronometer, showing GMT, and the ship's local time, determined from either sun or star's position, can be used to calculate the longitude of the ship relative to Greenwich meridian, defined as 0 degrees, using spherical trigonometry. I'm sure you all remember your spherical trigonometry from your high school days. In 1714, the British Parliament offered a longitude prize for a method of determining longitude at sea, with awards up to £20,000, about $6 million in today's dollars, depending upon the accuracy. Harrison solved the precision problems with his much smaller H4 chronometer designed in 1761 and submitted it to the British government. It was about the size of a large pocket watch. The H4 design used a fast-beating balance wheel controlled by a temperature-compensated spiral spring to control for accuracy. In France, at about the same time, Pierre Leroy invented the detent escapement, which is similar to what is used in modern chronometers. His piece also had a temperature-compensated balance and the isochronous balance spring. Isochronous is from the Greek equal in time, and it relates to the consistency of a watch's timekeeping, or a clock's timekeeping, in all tested positions of use, a feature especially important on a rocking and rolling ship. Leroux's advances made the chronometer a much more accurate timepiece. In short, Harrison's reliable and accurate marine chronometer eventually won him the prize, but not without a fight, multiple demonstrations on ship journeys, and the ultimate intervention from the king. Without the accuracy that marine chronometers enabled, it's probable that the Royal Navy would not have become as great, and perhaps the power of the British Empire would not have occurred. During the various wars and colonial conquests that followed this time period, British vessels had reliable navigation to the marine chronometer, while their Dutch, French, and Portuguese opponents did not, a great advantage for Britain. By the way, 2 fun facts to ponder are that a marine chronometer always contains additional power which keeps the chronometer going while it's being wound. Secondly, all marine chronometers contain a power reserve indicator to show how long the chronometer will continue to run without being wound. The power reserve indicator is a much admired complication on quality wristwatches today. And today we take it for granted that we can wind our watches without having to first stop them. The book Longitude reads at times like a mystery and at other times like a suspense novel. Even non-watch aficionados will enjoy the recounting of John Harrison's story and the technology that essentially changed the world. By allowing safer ship navigation in the late 18th century, the door was open to colonization, trade, and other societal impacts. If you want to get into the nitty-gritty of watchmaking, this is the book for you. George Daniels' Watchmaking is a comprehensive treatise on everything watchmaking, from history to tools and techniques to components and much more. In this book, he describes each and every watch component and how he has made each of them himself. George Daniels was a British horologist and watchmaker who was considered to be, during his lifetime, the best watchmaker in the world. Daniels died in 2011 at the age of 85. One of the few modern watchmakers who built complete watches by hand, he became best known for his creation of the coaxial escapement, which removed the need to add a lubricant to the escapement bearings and therefore was more accurate and for a longer period. Daniels had designed the new watch escapement by 1974 after much experimentation. The coaxial movement was first unveiled in 1976 and patented in 1980. It uses radial friction instead of sliding friction, making lubricants unnecessary, and as a result, eliminating the issue of oils that thickened over time and which therefore impacted the accuracy of the movement. Since 1999, when Omega first debuted a watch with a coaxial movement, the movement has been featured in more and more Omega brand watches, and is now considered the pinnacle of Omega watch movements. Watchmaking is essentially a textbook where the making of a timepiece is described step by step, with illustrations and explanations most laymen and lay women can understand. The writing is often dry in this work, which was written over 35 years ago, and may not be of interest to the casual reader. But for detailed descriptions and explanations of the functioning of a watch and its components, there may not be a better reference work. First published in 1981, it remains one of the most definitive books on horology. Some of the chapters in watchmaking include workshop and equipment, hand tools, finishing, escapements, making small components, wheels and pinions, and mainsprings. There's even a lot of math involved, because math is useful in designing the gearworks of a movement, plenty of illustrations, And again, like I said, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of watchmaking, this is the book for you. George Daniels' Watchmaking. The third and final book I'd like to recommend is, without a doubt, one of my favorites. It's called The Wristwatch Handbook, subtitled A Comprehensive Guide to Mechanical Watches by Ryan Schmidt. This book is just a wealth of information. It covers over 90 brands of watches. There's 400 or so high-quality images and diagrams of watches, the mechanical movements, explanations of how each part of the movement works. Watch mechanics are thoroughly described and really quite understandable based upon Ryan Schmidt's writing. Some of the chapters include power, transmission, regulation, and complications. The complications that he describes in detail: time zones, calendar, chiming, diving in nautical watches, and chronographs, which he calls lapses of time. The Wristwatch Handbook has excellent photography. Its illustrations are very clear and understandable, and the explanatory text is very readable. It's written for both the horological novice as well as the expert horophile. I like his even-handed coverage of all the watches that he mentions, whether it's an extremely high-end Chopard Tourbillon or a Bulova Accutron. It's a very approachable style with minimal technical jargon. It has a little bit of humor and just the right amount of depth given the context. And by the way, the Wristwatch Handbook can be read either straight through or picked up on occasion to learn about or enjoy a particular topic. The book looks like, and really is, a coffee table book, but it's so much more. I can only honestly say that I've learned something just about each and every time I've opened the pages. So there you have it. 3 books on watches that I highly recommend, that I think every watch collector should be familiar with, and especially the book Longitude, which is a great story, would be of particular interest to even non-watch collectors. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please hit the like button below. You can also hit the subscribe button to be alerted of future videos. Feel free to share the video with your friends and fellow watch collectors, and be sure to check out some of my other videos on the channel. See you next time.